the first episode of Track Help on this fine Sunday evening, and it's always good to do Track Help at the same weekend and same day as F1, and that's what we're going to have a quick chat about, as we've got plenty of people to take a quick opinion of, everyone on the call today. I'm going to start off with Monaco Grand Prix. Should it still exist on the calendar? Now, I've been saying since 2018, when Daniel Ricciardo won the race with a gearbox issue, I believe he had up to 6th gear, he was still able to hold on to first position. Because of the nature of the track, the width of the cars, he was able to keep everyone behind. I mean, not taking any credit away from Ricciardo, but great defending. He won. And since that year, I was like, does Monaco still need to be on the calendar? Is it really a racing track? Nathaniel, what do you think?
I'm not really sure. I don't really follow and watch F1 that much.
No worries. How about Nadeem?
Low-key, even though Monaco isn't really that fun of a race, I think it should just stay as like a motorsport event that's like it's stapled into history. It needs to stay.
That's an interesting call there. Philip?
I mean, to next year, the cars will be smaller, so I will see.
That's a good
we'll
point.
see about the racing next year, and hopefully some more wheel-to-wheel next year at Monaco.
Hopefully. Saad, what do you think?
I think it should stay. It's just one of those iconic tracks. Regardless of if the races are boring or not, I think it's it's a huge part of F1 itself. And as we said, the cars are going to be smaller next year, so I think the racing is going to be way better.
Absolutely. Brent?
Yeah, I don't follow F1 much either.
No worries, no worries. We'll go to Marcel.
Surprise, surprise. Please stop with Monaco. Really, it's not a racing track. It's a farce. The cars are bigger and than last year's, and the last year's it still wasn't one big farce, in my opinion.
Vidal, if you got a mic, let us know. I think he mentioned he can't talk in the chat. No problem at all. Well, mixed opinions there. And let's see what F1 does going forward. But qualifying is key, yeah? I think that's what we can understand from all these years. And yeah, we got Khiza on Instagram saying, what do you think about the F2 start? Spectacular crashes. That's something Monaco's good at. And Heman is asking, how can we join the meeting? Well, head over to the KTips Academy. It's free to join. Just search for it on Google. And today, over the course of the next hour, we're going to be going through our pinned comment for this week. The pinned comment, drivers since last week have been putting different bits of footage and descriptions. Nadeem's put on a Junior X30, a bit of footage. Nathaniel, I believe I've got your footage from last week. He wants to review Bayford Meadows. Philip might have some feedback for us from last week. Guy is not here, so we'll probably have to skip over. We'll hopefully round out with Brent, and then if we got time, we're going to go to Vidan as well. So Nadeem, talk to me about this Junior X30, which we're going to be watching. Now, I understand your wait, hold on a second. Are you locked in for your exams, or are they over? Because you joined today.
My exams start tomorrow.
Okay. This is a good way to get your mind off it. Yeah. Talk to me about what we're watching in the background, when this was taking place. Obviously, you're driving.
So this was my arts test. I'm in senior, but I was driving a Junior X30 because I've turned 15 now. So yeah, I did my first race in senior. I was a bit overweight, but I still want to know what I can do better on the track. And I know it's a track that you drove before, so I think you can also help me a bit.
Absolutely in reverse. I did this a few weeks back, albeit in a slightly different IAMI car. However, let's have a quick chat about the ARCS test. Now, what is the ARCS test and why do you have to do it?
So it's basically the licensing test for karting. Yeah. I think in the UK, sometimes globally. There's a driving aspect and a written aspect. The writing aspect is just you watch a video and then you just gotta answer based on those videos. And the driving, you just drive, don't crash.
And I guess a team member or somebody, an official, will be watching you to pass you.
Yeah. It's the manager of the track who's watching me.
Manager of the track, yeah. Well,
Was this racing?
I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna have to hold the call. But one second, my mom is calling me.
I think, Saad, to answer your question, this might have just been a kart owner session, because I know they run a lot of those at RAK. It was not a race, though. He said this is part of his test. So,
yeah, I got.
Have you applied for your ARCs?
Yeah,
Saad?
I crashed in the test. I'll show you where I crashed exactly. It was the same layout.
Okay. Right. Towards
Towards
the end of the lap, maybe?
No, I was at the back straight. I'll show you. A horrible crash, but I had everything on.
It's a high-speed layout, especially in reverse. So when you come through these corners, it's really just on the limit, building up speed. Here we go. Let's just skip towards the back straight, you're saying, yeah? Just over here.
So on the exit right here, I braked. I lost some concentration. I was just pushing, and then just keep playing it. I exited, and then I used too much of the track, and I just hit the tires.
Ouch.
And I just flew off the cart.
Right. Oh, so how were you after that?
I was good. I didn't feel anything.
Awesome. Nadim, you still there? Let me know once you're back. I'm bringing up RAK Track over here so we can see our overhead perspective. And let me bring up my pen as well. So RAK Track is the home of IAMI racing in UAE. They were established many years ago. And IAMI is, you can say, the rival to Rotax. It's an engine manufacturer. And the advantage that you get with IAMI is a bit more RPM. The engines are not the engines per se, the throttle application, the power band, that's it. The power band is a bit more instant than Rotax. You'll find when you put your foot down, you get less of a delay. And obviously when they run their engines at slightly higher RPM, it means that they're going to need replacing and service more often.
I'm really sorry for leaving in the middle. My dad walked in the room and I'm supposed to be sleeping.
No stress. Are you able to stay on?
Yeah.
Awesome. I was just explaining that with IAMI, the engines tend to last less than Rotax, but of course that's an arrangement, an agreement you'll make with your team with regards to how you're going to set things up and how aggressively you're going to run. Of course, you want to try to prioritize performance throughout the season. And I know a lot of the top drivers, who have big budgets, they'll just go and buy multiple engines. Let's talk about the reverse layout. I did this a few weeks back. It basically starts in this direction. We've got a 90-degree left-hander straight into a hairpin, not much runoff before that hairpin. We then come into the middle section of the track, end of sector 1, coming towards sector 2. I believe we take this round, yeah? Nadim, this is the path we take. Actually, let me zoom out so we can see the full track. We need that top end corner. Sector 1 one more time. Fast left into a hairpin. Carry a bit more speed. This is really fun. The double right. In the rental, it's pretty much flat out. And then we come towards our sector 2. Let's put that in pink. It's a sharp left-hander. Saad mentioned this is the corner where you've got to be careful with the rumble on exit. Building up speed towards a heavy braking point for the hairpin. And then we come into, it's an awkward hairpin because the curb really sticks out there. Final sector, I'm going to put it in blue. And it's a right, long right into almost a blind approach for this apex, which you've got to use at the outside to then cut back to the right. In the rental, this part was really fun. It was pretty much flat out. Flick the kart to the left, flick the kart to the left again, triple left-hander, use a bit of the curb on exit, and then you come out to finish off a lap. So, Nadim, because we're limited for time today, which specific corners shall we focus on this layout? 1 or 2 corners. Which sectors are they in?
I want to focus on turn 1 in the first sector and also the first turn in sector 2.
Cool. So we're going to focus on the left-hander over here and then coming into this hairpin, you'd say, over here, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go back to your footage. When do you think was the fastest lap in this bit of footage that you shared?
I'm not sure because this is only like the last 4 minutes of the session.
Okay, at least you would have probably been pushing. You would have got through that warm-up phase. Let's take the middle part of the lap as an example. We'll put it in slow motion. Turn one currently. What's your approach? Is it a lift? Is it a tap of the brake? Obviously approaching at high speed.
A tap on the brake, but I realized that like sometimes my wheel is completely like turning right. I'm like stopping myself from going into the wall, and I get told I have to take it easier, but I'm not really sure what to do.
Gotcha. Basically, it's such a deceiving corner because you feel that you want to push through this first part, but the runoff on exit over here is really tight as well. So the more risk you take, the more likely you're going to be ending up outside of the track and then obviously into the barrier. If you find yourself counter steering or steering to the right a lot, that means you're on the limit of grip, right? You're pushing the car, tires are trying to stick to the track, but then you probably get a bit of sliding through there. Currently, where is that tap of the brake that you're going for? Is there some kind of a reference, or is it on feeling that you do?
I usually do it on feeling, or you see the starting light on the right
over here.
Yeah, I use that as a reference sometimes.
Nice. So you just pass that, and then soon it's going to be time to start getting onto the brakes. Releasing just before the apex, or how is
No, I go straight back on the gas as soon as I'm done with the brakes.
Cool. It's just for stability over there. Have you spoken to your team? I know you're part of AK Racing, one of the top teams for Miami. What did your instructor there advise for turn one?
He just told me I have to take a smoother approach. I didn't really understand what he was trying to tell me, to be honest.
Okay, well, that's something that you can definitely debrief with them again when you go back to the track. Remember, it's the first time you'll be learning such layouts, and on top of that, on new karts, so it can become a bit confusing at times. But with added track time, it'll get better for you. What I'd advise for this kind of corner is, if braking is working out well, you're able to control the kart, 9 out of 10 times. Try out a lift. And that's only going to be suitable when you're on fresher tires. That does make a big difference in these karts. When you're on a fresh set of tires, you have a lot of grip, more grip than you'd think. And then it's just a matter of you taking the corner in such a way where you're not overdriving, but you're utilizing the chassis flex, which is a big thing in these karts. The weight transfer is incredible. They're lightweight, and if you're able to turn in correctly, load the tires correctly, you'll be able to benefit from that. If you are ever to change it to a lift, I'd say I'd still go for a slightly early lift. I would not focus on doing things too late, because here it's all about maintaining RPM. So we're approaching this corner quick. I like how you're already on the brake slightly earlier, tap of the brakes. If it was even a lift of the gas instead of a brake next time, do that early, and then start laying the power back down. The idea is mid-corner, we want to start building those RPMs high before our main braking point, which is turn 2, and it's for this hairpin. Have you used any of the outside rumble over here? How has that been for
use
you?
it on the exit of the last turn, but I feel like it really slows on turn 1 when you use it.
Yeah, that's good feedback. It's important to try to understand where the track limits are. And if you feel that maybe it's hooking your car too much to the right, that's how these curbs are designed, by the way, as well. Then it's best to just go up until maybe the yellow line over there. So this corner, I'd say on fresh tires, definitely try to transition to a lift. Now, when you have worn tires with less grip, you're going to experience more and more counter steer, a bit more sliding. So that's where you'll have to transition back to that tap of the brake. It's important though, regardless of which tire set you're on, or if it's new, old, or if you're going for a lift or brake, try to do that brake or lift early so you can keep RPMs high. Let's go towards the back end of the lap, because this is one of the most interesting corners we're going to be approaching. I remember when I drove this sector, it was incredible. You're approaching the hairpin at such high speed, and then it's into a very, very heavy braking point. This corner, you've got to understand that the main objective is to, where are we located? Oh yeah, over here, of course. Trying to carry speed on the entry. maybe a slightly late brake into the corner. But then equally, we want to have a nice exit coming out because we got a long straight over here. And if you get a good exit and you're in a race scenario, you could potentially slipstream somebody and pass them coming down into the hairpin. So exit speed is very, very important over here. But you're in an X30, right? You've got that added horsepower. You got that powerful engine. Try to find the limit of brakes. Let's just see a couple of examples of how you're taking this corner. Let's take this lap as an example on the brakes. Any specific reference maybe you're using for braking, or is it on feeling once again?
The end of the curb.
Yep, somewhere here.
Yeah, sometimes I try to brake even a bit earlier than that, but like I use it as like a reference of when I actually need to be on the outside for that braking point. This
corner is also quite bumpy. It's got an interesting surface to it. It's important not to get unsettled by that and take it in such an angle where the car is least unsettled. In terms of entry, I guess you are maximizing the width of the track. Did you get a chance to drive with any other drivers during some practices on this layout?
During a recent race that I had, I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When I actually tested on the senior S125s.
Yeah. How was the approach a lot of the other drivers who take this corner in terms of width? Were they coming all the way out wide like you're doing over here, or were they going slightly narrower?
It's really a mix sometimes. Like some of them, they literally go like under that curb, and then some people, they barely even go to the outside. It's really a mix.
This corner, remember, is connected by the previous one, which is the right-hander coming out here. The idea for the right-hander is just try to carry maximum speed through, and there's some runoff there to save you, even if you do take a bit more speed. The idea is if you can get maximum speed through the right and then maintain that on entry for this hairpin, then you can be quite aggressive with the brakes, and you'll have to because you're trying to slow it down quickly. For this corner though, I'd say really play around. I would recommend just in this lap in isolation, for example, try to use a bit more of the curb on, well, this is fine what you're doing on the inside. Feel free to use a bit more of the runoff on the outside, which then ends up slightly more to the left, which means coming to the hairpin. We don't have to come all the way back across to the right hand side. We can just keep it within a kart length from the inside. Yeah, so try out a slightly tighter line, and you can use this rubbered in line, the darker patch, as a reference to stay on. Braking wise, it's a traditional trail brake over here, but for the apex, yeah, it's obviously this awkward sausage curve. How is this? Have you tried to ride it? Do you avoid it? What's your approach for the curve on the inside?
I've hit it once.
Yeah,
it was very painful.
Yep. But you got to do that to know the limits, and it's good. However, the main objective would be to get as close to the yellow as possible, maybe the lip of the apex. And yeah, it's a weird one here because it's an alternative layout. So the curb itself points out early, and then as it runs on further and further, it falls away from you. So you don't really have to, hug the curb all the way. As long as you're getting the first part and then back on power, the way you probably know you're doing this corner, right? How quickly are you approaching the exit over here? So if you feel that I'm putting my foot down and I'm comfortably, staying within the track limits, there's probably a bit more time on the table there. You could have carried a bit more speed. If you feel you're really coming close to the outside rumble, then you're coming closer and closer to the limit. And then, of course, don't overstep that by taking too much of the curb, because that'll hook your tire, and then you can, go off into the barrier. Overall, your line looks good for this corner. I would try two things next time. Maybe a slightly tighter line, and especially on those fresher tires, go for a late trail brake for this corner. Definitely time to be one on corner entry. We're gonna have to move on to the next driver, but let me know when you're gonna go to the track next. Have you got anything planned? For practice or
when I'm done with my exams,
Yep.
But it's not the same layout. They've changed the layout.
Cool. In terms of your actual experience with these karts, how long have you done it for? Few weeks now?
I think my first time in a 2-stroke kart, like a proper race kart, was like maybe 2 months ago.
Couple of months ago now. Okay, cool. I think what we can do next time is go over just some specific basics on what you want to take from rentals and what's different in owner karts like this, driving style wise. So be sure to share some footage in a future track help session when you have some time to join, and we look forward to going through that then. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna have to get off now.
No worries at all.
For my exams.
It's always a pleasure. All the best with your exams as well. Wishing you success in that. We're going to move on to no worries, Nadeem. We're going to move on to the next driver because it looks like we haven't got any new comments on Insta or YouTube. If you do have some comments though, let us know. And I know a popular comment is, how can I join these sessions? Just head over to KTips Academy on Google, make a search for it. It's free to join, and then you'll get access to weekly track help like this, and also our karting assistance for general questions related to karting, and even fitness and diet related ones. There's a fitness coach there to help you. What we're going to do is move on to Nathaniel. Nathaniel, are you still there?
Yeah. Okay.
Nathaniel, is your footage in the previous weeks?
I've never been to Bayford Meadows, so I was just wondering if you could.
Okay, right. No,
I watched a few videos
stress.
on YouTube, but it doesn't explain it.
Why do I recall you sharing a link? Oh, maybe you didn't last week. Let's look at Bayford Meadows. Before we look at Bayford Meadows footage, let's go to this track. And I've got a nice story to share with you. Summer of 2016, I still remember. I was on vacation visiting the UK. We were in the Kent area. So where was it? Basically down the road over here in Faversham. And then we did a search. Where is the closest karting track? So they said, oh, Bayford Meadows. We took the train up there. Yep, there you go, Sittingbourne Station. And then we were greeted by this wonderful outdoor track, which is Bayford Meadows. And they were running both rental and owner kart sessions that day. We look at some of the photos over here. It's a really, really nice looking track. And fortunately, it was summer, the sun was out, so it was some dry racing. So Nathaniel, this is part of Club 100 that you're visiting Bayford Meadows. Will you get any practice beforehand, or is it straight into the race weekend format?
It's into the weekend format, but I think it's 20-minute practice and qualifying, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, when you're learning a new track like this, it's always useful to look at track maps and, more importantly, footage. You know, if it's a specific layout that you're going to be doing, they have a couple of alternative ones. I assume it's the main layout you'll be taking?
Yeah, I believe so.
I remember when I was doing the session so many years ago, they cut the track over here. Will they be doing that for your round, or you're going to continue?
I think it's just going to be the continued.
Cool. Basically, the track starts with a long straight into a fast first corner, right-hander. We then can use a bit of the runoff and exit in preparation for the tighter part, which is coming up over here. And this is into sector 2. We have a tight right-hander, which then transitions into a bit more of a flowing section. A lot of these corners, you can generally carry a lot of speed, especially in these Club 100 karts, and then into hard braking. Once again, sector 2 is a left-hand hairpin, now another right-hand hairpin into a tight right, coming up to the back straight over here. Chance to slipstream, get into an overtaking opportunity perhaps. Final sector, long left, into a right, and it's just a winding sequence. Really nice finish to the track, a double right. You got this chicane style corner, right left, to get the best possible exit onto the main straight. Looking at this track, Nathaniel, which corners do you think are going to be easy? Which corners do you think will be challenging?
I think like the second corner. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, turn 2. That's an interesting complex we got up here. We can also say perhaps this double hairpin sequence, depending on track limits, and maybe the final sector as well. How much can you actually go flat? Because it looks flowing, but is there going to be a chance for, maybe some braking towards the end? That's probably going to be the case. Let's look for some footage. Have you found any good clips on YouTube before?
I mean, I've tried to search, but none of them are recent, really.
Yeah, there's definitely no Club 100 ones. There's a good Rotax one I found over here, and there's also a track guide by the looks of things, which is awesome. So take a look at that. See, all this data that you've got is very, very useful for preparation and making some mental notes, especially with track guides, because that's somebody talking you through their thinking when they're driving on their fastest lap. So do as much research on YouTube as possible, so when you hit the track, you can hit the ground running. And this is a typical on a kart session. It'll be because you're technically driving with that engine itself, and you can see main thing we look at on a new track is where are our track limits, how wide is the track, how's the surface of the track, and this is really, really nice to observe. So you can see a few things. So I can bring my pen up over here. And we come towards the end of the lap. So essentially, look at the trend in the curbs. Compared to RAK Track, which we were just watching, the typical hard red and white ones, this seems to be, almost a different type of rumble, very, very, very bumpy portion. How about the inside over here? Similar concrete patches. Some of them you can take, some of them you might want to avoid. We'll see how this driver negotiates through a bit of traffic. You can see once again, turn 1, look at the curb on the inside. And then look at the curb on the outside. Remember, the driver who's in this kart, he's obviously got his own vehicle over here. So he's going to be taking some caution. He's not just going to be driving recklessly. And that's always the advantage you get of watching the owner kart drivers, is because they're pretty much aware of the limits. They're not going to be doing anything over, because that's going to damage their kart and then obviously cost them a lot in repairs. It's a very, very flowing track. That's what I'd say. The corners come after one after the other, and yeah, definitely it's going to take some time getting used to it, but that's the purpose of that 20-minute practice session. What's your current plan for that 20-minute practice? What are you trying to do in there? Split it up in.
Probably just follow drivers, because I've only done Club 100 once and I was in the rain. So
okay, well, that's the best approach. I think follow as many people as possible. If you do feel you're quicker, you go for the pass, or you can stand by and wait for maybe a group of 2 or 3 drivers to come through and just try to follow them as much as possible. It's not going to be easy, because they probably have experience at this track, they've done it before, but whatever info you can get. Are you allowed GoPros, by the way?
Yeah, you can mount at the front.
Yeah, that'll be very, very useful to do. So is it all across one day, or is it practice on one day and then race on the next day?
It's all in one day.
Okay, but you will have time in between sessions.
Yes.
Cool. In between sessions, it's always good to just whip up some GoPro footage, open it up, and just go through it. And if you know some drivers as well, then tell them to look at it live at the track, and they'll give you some pointers like that. Let's go through the first couple of corners. That's obviously where we targeted on the track map. That could be quite tricky. If we look at this sequence, we're approaching at high speed after turn 1. There's an initial apex over here at the right. Interesting, driver on track is using all of the curb here, right up to the grass. You can't see the footwork too well over here, but I assume he's braking into this hairpin. And you can see, once again, riding the curb all the way on the right-hand side. Now, that's something interesting at this track, where play around with the limits, but once you overstep it, there'll be some grass and mud. So really stage your progress. Don't take too much curb at once and then maybe get spun around or get the kart stuck, but slowly try to utilize a lot of the curbs. It looks like, especially this driver's being quite aggressive on it. In terms of the actual line he's taking through turn 1 and 2, or turn 2 and turn 3, staying tight for the first part, getting on the brakes for the second, and interesting on this occasion, he's pretty much going in for a relatively early is turning. An early to mid apex, you can see already getting onto the curb. And then as we come to the end of the corner, gets off the curb and tries to straight line it to the next portion, which again, look how much of the curb he's using through there. So what it is, attack the first curb over here, onto the brakes. I don't see him using all of the track all the way to the left-hand side, so you can keep it within, I'd say, 3/4 from the inside edge. Maybe the middle is going to be a bit too tight, but definitely 3/4 away from the inside edge. Not to waste too many meters. On the brakes early, and then try to get on the gas early as well. If you can hook yourself up onto the curb like this, it looks like you can then create that straight line opportunity to the next portion and get that sorted. We've basically got the second sector coming up now. This is the sequence of double hairpin turns. First hairpin into a tight left, and then we come back up to a tighter right, it looks like. So it's interesting to watch this and see the line. That was a very interesting line the driver took. You can see on entry for the first part, first hairpin over here, using all of the track, attacking the corner, maybe quite late on the brakes as well, trying to get close to the inside apex. But between the exit of hairpin 1 and the entry of hairpin 2 up there, he's not really going to build up that much speed, although there is a decent stretch. Using the track on exit, but deciding to stay more in the middle, right? Watch this. He's in between the two surfaces, the gray patch over there and the brown patch over here, just on the middle, yeah? Notice that?
Yes.
Then on the brakes, because the corner comes at you soon, and then let's just see how much curb he uses over here. If he gets enough rotation, he gets decent rotation, getting the lip of the curb there. We're coming to the exit of sector 2 now, coming on to sector 3, and that's the part where we're wondering how much of this is really flat or is a bit of a lift. It's a winding left we're coming up to the choice of line that this driver is taking, hugging it tight, and now he can open up the next corner. So if you watch this, the exit of the left, using all of the track over here. This is, by the way, the alternative layout where they cut the track in half. They'll open up these tires, but I assume you'll be running the full layout. Full speed. In a very subtle motion, he's directing the kart towards the left, the inside curb over there. And now the inside curb, he's actually hugging it early on, right? If you look at the gap between the curb and his tire, getting closer and closer. So basically deciding to avoid wasting meters. You don't see him all the way at the white line over there on the outside, and then he's going to cut to the inside. No, he's gone tight and he's gone early. Going tight, going early. Let's just see where he maintains that gap. So the early part of the corner, he's tight, we agree, but he's not at the white line or at the curb. He's keeping that distance. Keep the distance, keep the distance. And then he's turning more and more on the steering wheel as we get deeper into the corner. So now we're pretty much at the midpoint. He's gone tight, the corner tightens up over here. He's trying to get mid to late part of the turn. What that allows him to do, taking a mid to late approach, is set up on the left-hand side of the track now. So if we look at the amount of space we have to approach this right-hand corner, look at all this space over here. By taking that mid to late turn on the left, we're not on this yellow line part of the track. If we're too tight, I assume over here, then our entry for this next corner becomes compromised. Let's just watch how he takes the next corners. Interesting if there was a lift or a brake there. I think that was pretty much flat through the right. Right on the limit over there, you can see how much he's counter steering one more time. So as he comes out this corner, I think he's just playing with the gas there, just seeing how close he can get to the curb. Gets relatively close. Not riding it too much. There's not much of the curb to ride there. The grass is quite near. He comes off just to keep that momentum high. If we keep it too tight, maybe you can, bottleneck the engine. The revs will get lost. Trying to come back to the inside curb, fighting the kart as he lays the power down. This is the fast right-hand sequence. Yeah, watch his footwork there. There's a bit of a lift. Definitely on his right foot. I don't know if he's braking or or tapping the brake at the same time, but definitely lifting his foot off the gas to the right. What do you notice about the curb over here? How much of the curb is he taking?
Yeah, I mean, he's taking most of the curb, but not all the way to the grass.
Yeah, similar to turn 2, for example. He's not all the way over here, but definitely attacking this curb. And it's an interesting approach he used over here where, boom, watch his foot. He's already off the gas. Whether that's a lift or a brake, he's doing that well before this apex. Now, the reason is keeping those RPMs high. Even in owner karts, right, for medium speed corners like this, if you can sacrifice time just a little on the entry and now lay your foot back down as you attack the curb, you'll be able to gain time. On exit, yeah, he's cautious, I think, especially with how much of the runoff. I don't think you want to get onto that black stuff. And even this rumble over here, it's quite an aggressive one. It's made out of concrete, right? There's concrete ridges in there. So just be mindful of that. What happens is if you hit it at high speed, it can drag your kart into the left and you can almost get stuck. It hooks your tire. So just be wary of that. Watch his footwork for the last corner. It looks like there was a slight bit of a break and then back onto gas. And the main thing we're looking at is his line as well. So approaching this corner high speed. Watch his footwork one more time. Yep, he's definitely, you can see that small lift. And again, early. So he's already on the brakes. Laying the gas back down. Watch how much of the curb he uses over here. Quite aggressive, I'd say. But he's trying to create that straight line effect again. From apex 1 to apex 2. If you start looking ahead as well towards the second part, you ride the inside curb and then back onto the left. Look at that. Using a lot of the curb there, definitely onto the concrete part. And then hopefully get straight line opportunities. So if we go back to our track map, we go back to our initial interpretation of this last sector, it is all about keeping the revs as high as possible, but then placement of the kart as well. So the driver was doing something like this in terms of the line. And then for this corner, he turns in early, so he can jump that inside curb, straight line to the next part, and then it's pretty much a good run to the end of the line. In terms of specific braking points, maybe a bit of braking over here for the left. Play around with it, brake or lift. For the right over here, I don't think you need a brake. I'll put it in yellow. Probably an early lift for the right. Yeah, because it does tighten up that corner. And the last corner, maybe tap of the brake, just for rotation. So you can flick the kart right, and then try and go straight line over the first curb and then the second curb. So what this is all about now is putting it together. We've done a nice interpretation, but the moment you hit the track for that 20-minute practice, that's when we're going to find out really, what corners you're doing well at and which corners you need to work on. And that's what I'll round off with. Any new track you go to anywhere in the world, that first session, there's going to be a lot of corners which, you're doing decently at. And there'll be a handful of corners, 1, 2, 3 corners where you're like, I think I'm losing time there, or that's just difficult for me. So those are the ones you want to then focus on in the following sessions. And in terms of adjustments you make, do it systematically. Don't try and change too much from one session to the other. Slightly refine it for maybe if it was turn 2 that was bothering you, or turn 7 that was bothering you. Identify what was it. Was I sliding too much in the corner? Was I not getting close enough to the apex? Were people gapping me on the exit of the corner? Was I catching them on the entry and then they go on the exit? You've got to be observant of those things and collect that in your mind for feedback. So then going back to basics, what you need to adjust. If you're sliding too much, you're carrying too much speed. If they're gapping you on the exit of the corner, they're getting better exit speed. So you probably need to slow it down on the entry a bit more. If you're leaving gap to the apex, right, you probably know you can go tighter in that corner. So just some basic things like that. When is the next race then, Nathaniel?
Next Saturday.
Next Saturday. That's awesome. Let us know how it goes. Get some footage for us as well. We look forward to seeing that.
Thank you. I just ask a really quick question.
Go for it.
because I went to ADX a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
The guy said to me that ADX is quite expensive and there's cheaper places, but he still hasn't found out from his friends. So I was wondering if you know any places.
Yeah, so ADX provide arrive and drive Rotax. Is that correct?
Yes, and Pro Kart. I went to Pro Kart, but I was looking at Rotax.
Okay. As far as I know, there will be teams at different tracks who, won't mind renting a kart out for you. I know Harry in the past, if you DM him over here on the academy, he'll let you know which team he went with. But they gave him like many hours for however much. But that's, a team which may not have been on Instagram. The good thing with ADX, and the reason why they get lots of customers, is they're constantly promoting their services. And that's what they are, arrive and drive owner kart team. I know Pro Kart UK, I did some racing with them. They're the pink Haas livery. I haven't heard too much of them lately, though, right? I think they used to run at PFI, but now they only run at Rye House. So that could be an option. But the last time I did it, I also did Pro Kart with them. I did not do Rotax. So yeah, ADX is the most popular for Rotax arrive and drive. If you want somebody cheaper, you'll probably have to go to individual teams. DM them on Instagram, or if you're at the track, just have a chat with them. They'll have a team manager there to guide you.
Okay, thank you.
No worries at all. We're going to move on to the next driver, as we've got about 15 minutes or so. To round off for today's session, we've done Nadeem, we've done Nathaniel. Philip, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Give us some feedback on what happened. I know we did an analysis, then you went ahead and refined that and put it into an actual track map. How did it work out in terms of lap times and all?
Well, I didn't. This picture that I did was for rental cart, and I didn't do it this week, but I did Rotax. But
okay. Yeah.
So next time I drive the rentals, I will send the footage of that and see if I improve my lap time.
Hopefully next time then. Yeah, we'll save it for next time. Perfect. Guy Williams, he's still not here, so we're gonna have to move on to the next driver. Saad, you got a question?
Wait,
if we have time, I don't think we do, but could we just go over my footage for Fursan real quick? It's just reverse, and I have a race tomorrow.
Definitely.
Omar.
Philip.
I had a video there also.
Second fastest lap.
Yeah, the video is there.
Gotcha. What specifically did you want to go over in this? Because I know we've already done an analysis.
Yeah, no, but it's the Rotax.
This is Rotax. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look then. And this is, of course, at. Oh no, sorry. Give it a 1 second. That's not sharing the correct tab. I thought that was from rental. My bad, Philip.
Yeah, no worries.
So we're obviously in much faster carts now, and this is a daytime clear skies, you could say. When was this recorded, Philip?
It was recorded on Tuesday, but the tire was pretty old. So yeah, I think they'll change the tires to next time.
Yeah. And this is what you mentioned in your comment. I'm just reading over here. I'm driving a Rotax tomorrow. I'll send some footage. So was this a typical practice day, practice lap you're doing?
Yeah, just a practice day. Yeah.
In terms of the, competition level there, where are you currently ranking, and are you participating in? You are participating in the races. I know that.
Yeah. In Rotax, there is just like practice, not any races with them. So the races I only do with the rentals.
Definitely. Why is this ad coming up now? Let's put this on loop. So specifically, obviously, we know the layout is pretty much the same as the rentals. Is that correct? From last time. Which corners do you feel that we can hopefully review in today's
session? Mostly turn 3, 8, and 9.
Nice.
But also a little bit of turn 2 because I saw a video in YouTube that they took the line a bit more to the inside instead of like waiting on the outside and then going to inside, because it's much more different with these race cars.
Turn 2 is over here. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Turn 2. You then said turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 here. These two corners. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, sector 1 and sector 3, right?
Yeah.
And if we look at the overhead shots, similar sequence of corners. I won't say exactly the same. This is a fast right, almost hairpin into a left. And then we've obviously got the awkward hairpin, I'd call it. So I've got an interesting curve on the inside, and then not much runoff on the outside. It's a V-shaped corner. And then the back end of the lap is basically a double hairpin. So it's a right into a left. So if we go ahead to the clip that you've put in over here, and we look at, obviously, the fastest lap, because this is really good. When you have the fastest lap footage, you know that this is pretty much the max you're pushing that day. And then we can look, how can you further improve onto that? Just put our playback speed slow motion. Turn 2 is an interesting entry that you get.
Yeah.
But this is turn 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we compare it to what's to come, I think on the outside and general track width over here, it's one of the wider corners. What's your current approach for braking? Because there is a brake over here.
Yeah, there's a line like right a bit more further here. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I try to brake on that line. So yeah, I mean with the rentals, I can brake much later and take a wider entry than with these cars.
And that's interesting, because you're in between the two karts, so constantly it's playing on your mind, and the lines and style. You're obviously trying to incorporate. Honestly, that's a relatively late break. It's nice. So you're in for a hard break. Are you carrying the brakes into the corner? Is it like a trail brake you're going for?
Yeah, I'd say not that much, but still some trail braking.
Relatively late apex, which you're hitting over here. And that connects nicely into turn 3, which is the left over here. This is a really high-speed part. I think it's a tap of the brake once again for turn 3.
Yes.
Cool.
It was that I wanted to talk about. Because I talked with them at the track, the owners, and they said that I could just maybe take a little lift and a little brake, then because I take maybe too much of a brake here.
Definitely. So what it is, turn 2, I like the approach. It's relatively late brake. The apex is good. You're setting up for a good exit over here. On that lap as well, if we look at the braking, I'm just watching your steering wheel. I think you brake right on the limit, and then maybe as you put the power down, you're getting a bit of counter steer. Just be wary of that slight correction. Apex looks fine, and now on the exit, this is the interesting approach which you can play around with. Have you tried using a bit more of the track on the left, or you try and keep it tight to prepare for the next part coming up?
No, definitely like a bit more to the inside than the exit, because then I get a bad exit to the next turn.
The next corner. Okay, interesting. This corner, because you're building up speed, and then it becomes tighter and tighter over here. I'd say 2 things. Number 1 is the tires, because you probably found them on fresh tires. How is this corner?
No, very old tires. This.
Yeah, these are very old. Have you done running? Well, you obviously done. Have you done fresh tires on this?
Yes, it was last month, but it was the first time I ever driven these karts.
Yes, it's a bit skewed. Yeah. What were you doing? Just out of interest, what was the line you were doing then?
What did you say?
What was the? I mean, the line would have been the same, but what about the braking or lifting on fresh tires then?
I'd say it was the same. because
but you were just starting, right?
yeah,
It's the first time. Yeah, that's why it's cute. Don't worry. Definitely, when you have more grip and now more experience next time, you probably will be able to take this with a lift. I would say, though, the lift should come relatively early.
Yeah.
Just so you can set the kart up to rotate a little at that slightly lower speed, and then get on the gas a bit more and more and more as you get closer to the apex. I like the line. The line looks good. It's also over here. You got that rubbered path, darker line, which is coming up. And on a race scenario, when there's 20 karts putting rubber down like that, it becomes more and more grippy. And then you're able to push a bit more, right? You don't have to go for the brake that you feel. The problem is when we get older and older on the tire usage, you're going to have to transition from a lift, which you normally do on fresh tires, to then a bit of a brake. So don't worry too much. As long as you're not sliding too much through this corner, I think you're pretty much on the limit. And based on your steering input as well, look at that. Really, really on the limit. Bit of counter steer to the left. Fresh tires, early lift, early gas, I'd say, for this corner. On the used tires, if you have to brake, that's just how it is. It is what it is, kind of thing. Make sure, though, on those old tires, you're not overdriving too much, because that's very easy to do. With less grip, you'll feel that you want to slide more.
Yeah.
Which other corners was it? It's 10-8 and 10-9?
Yeah, the double hairpin a bit later in the video.
Coming to the end of the lap, you can see for this hairpin now, compare this to turn 2, similar approach. It becomes a bit tighter, though, you can see. What happened here on turn 8?
Yeah, I just brake too much, so yeah.
You'll watch hard on the brakes, the rear is just coming out, then you're correcting, and then you have to get back onto line. Do you think you brake too late or a bit too hard? What was...
Yeah, too late, I think. So I stress a bit and brake too hard then.
Yeah. You tried to compromise after.
Yeah.
So this corner is, I know the shade is getting in the way, but is there some kind of a reference, or is it on feeling, the braking?
Yeah, it's about here, I say.
Yeah. Again, no clear reference. So it's simply on judgment as you get closer and closer to the corner. Maybe these tires or something on the left can help you, or the tree maybe.
The rubber, I'd say, helps.
There's some rubber. I know it's not clear on. The rubber over here starts.
Yeah.
That could be one way. For this, part, I'd encourage on used tires to avoid something like this happening in the future. Just go for a slightly earlier brake. And the line, what are you going for? Is it a late apex for this corner, or mid to late?
Yeah, mid to late. Yeah.
Nice. Mid to late was good. I remember from the last video in the rentals, these curbs are very deadly. You don't want to touch them, right?
No.
Just try to close the gap as much as possible. Then maybe up to the white line would be enough.
Mm.
And then this leads us on to the second hairpin, which is obviously coming up. Yeah, you can see on the exit there as well. Maybe you used a bit too much of the exit, or you're too soon on the gas, so you get this big tank slap at the rear comes out.
Yeah, I think I was too early on the gas, because I talked to them and said that it was oversteer, and then they said that I have to gently go onto the throttle.
Absolutely. That's just simply how you're applying the gas. Because what happens is you can put your foot down quickly, and in Rotax, the response is a bit delayed. So suddenly you'll feel there'll be a big burst of power. That's probably what happened over here. Just caught you off guard. That is obviously in preparation for turn 9, the left. Now, definitely, just with those couple of things we saw in braking, I think easily half a second to be found on that lap. So it could have been a low 49. That's what I think.
Yeah.
If we look at turn 9, though, this corner on this lap, there was a slight bit of a break after the red line, maybe.
Yeah, after the red.
We just crossed the red line on the brakes, releasing off the brakes. You just saw that shot there. and then just trying to get close to the curb on the left there. What do you think you could have improved over here?
Maybe the brakes that brake early and then a bit more earlier on the gas.
Yeah, I think this lap, unfortunately, it got skewed because of the back end of the lap. Basically, turn 8. What happened at turn 8 then results in what happens at turn 9. So if we just go to our track map over here, and then we just zoom in, take a look at the last 2 corners. Ideally, find the limit of braking for this corner. So maybe just going a bit early. Play around with that. Make of the line what you think. How much of the exit do drivers do? Do they normally come all the way out and then go right? Or do they...
No, they don't go as much.
Do they keep it tight or in the middle like this? Maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then we've crossed the red line now, so it's time to start braking. Would you say it's less of a break compared to turn 8?
Yeah, definitely. Because you carry much more speed to turn 8.
Exactly. Just a bit of the brakes after the red line. Is it a late apex? Or are people going in early?
Mid to late again, I'd
Mid
say.
yeah. So getting on the dark rubber line, then getting in close. Let's just redraw that again, getting in close. And now we can focus on what's coming up, because this part, is this all flat? Well, maybe there's a tap of the brake somewhere here.
No, I actually asked them about the last corner because I was tapping the brakes there, and then I asked them if there is a tap on the brake or a lift, and they said like a bit of a lift, like 50% on throttle. So yeah, next session I tried that, but the engine actually died. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha. No, the idea is these corners are all connected together. If you can get the braking on the sweet spot for the first part, so not overdriving the kart for the first part, it will take a smooth line through the right. Make sure you don't, well, as you're saying, it's maybe not necessary to waste too many meters. Keep in the middle of the track. Really, your speed isn't going to build up that much between these 2 corners. So as we cross the red line, then we just go for a tap of the brake, maybe for a bit of rotation, and then get close to the left over here. So the key for doing turn 9 well is to do turn 8 well. I'd say that's very, very important. And what we saw in the video is, unfortunately, you got the braking a bit late for turn 8, and then that end of the lap got a bit compromised. So I see 49.0 is possible. Just with a couple of corners improvement. When are you going to the track next?
I mean, with the rentals, maybe next week, I'd say, just to practice.
Yep.
If it's like sunny, but the next rental race is like in 2 weeks, and then the road tax is the week after that.
Awesome. That sounds great. Please let us know how it goes. And we look forward to seeing some more footage, whether it's of the road tax or the rentals. You've got plenty of things to work on from there.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem at all. We're coming to the end of the session now. There's a number of things to address because we had a lot of submissions this week. And unfortunately, we did not get the time to go through Brent's footage. Brent, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was waiting, but it's fine.
Unfortunately, as we write in our notes, is these sessions are just 1 hour long, and the first 3 who submit, we're going to go through theirs on a first submit, first review basis. If somebody doesn't arrive on time, then we move on to the next driver. For example, who was it? Guy. He wasn't here today, so we had to skip over. However, if I can't review your footage in this session, then I'll be able to hopefully review it in the next session. What's going to happen, guys, after today, there's going to be, within the next 5 minutes, there's going to be a new pinned post on the Academy. So again, as soon as I post it, just submit your footage. So at least you're first in line for next week. Arrive on time. We'll be able to go through that with you. Yeah. Is that fine, Brent?
Yeah, I have a race on Saturday, but it's okay.
No worries at all. Same for Vidan as well. Vidan, are you still there? Can you hear us? I think maybe he had a mic issue this time.
Yes.
Awesome. So same for Vedant as well.
Fix it.
Make sure to submit it bang on time so you can be at the top of the list for next time. Otherwise, we will have to save it for the next session. Finally, for Saad, I know you've asked a couple of times for San. You do have a couple of private sessions remaining because you're obviously doing the level 1. Why don't you book through there so we can do an in-depth analysis?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that'll be best. I've got some footage of my own, obviously, when I raced with you last time. Is that same layout? Oh, no, it's reverse.
No, it's reverse, and then it's the old drive layout, so it doesn't have the, the big back straight. That goes into a right-handed. That part's covered off.
Gotcha. Well, let's go for that. There'll be a list of times that you can book over there. And that's the same goes for anyone else as well. Look, guys, we're doing this every week. If there's no time in these sessions, then the best option is to book a private session. There's plenty of times available there. And you can find the booking slots available in private coaching over here. So that is obviously if you want to be flexible with timings. Until next week at 6 p.m. GMT, we'll be back for track help. Then we'll see you all. Take care, everyone. Good night.